Okay, hello. Hopefully you can hear me. I was doing some audio testing there, and it looked like my microphone wasn't working. But I think it's just this new setup. Oh yeah, hang on. I'm going to turn off my laptop here because I was fiddling about there for a moment, trying to hear myself, and nothing was happening. I'm trying to I'm getting used to this totally new system to broadcast our monthly live training sessions to a couple of Facebook pages and YouTube, and maybe add other channels in due course. It's very different from what I've been using. I've been using Webinar Jam for years, which has been great, but it's let me down a couple of times recently. In fact, twice, 2 months in a row. Bits of it were missing. You can't continue with that. So I'm using a system called Restream, and I've been subscribing to it for years, but never used it. And it's great. It's great. So I'm just want to put into the chat box something here, just before we get rolling, just for people who want to find out more about what we do. The Secrets of Success Mentoring Program. It's in the chat box, and if you're watching this as you are on either YouTube or Facebook, at the end of this session, in about 1 hour from now, you can ask me questions through the live chat facility, and it's great. This system is great because I can see the questions people are asking in 2 places on Facebook and 1 place on YouTube, and it's great. So a lot of content planned for you today, lined up for you today. As you've probably seen the title of today's session. It's Courage: How to Turn Your Dreams into Reality. And the fact is, lack of courage is what stops most people from even going for their goals. And you know what? When you have more courage, and we've discovered that courage is not the absence of fear. It's not the absence of fear. Courage, as we will discover, is being able to do something, even though it may scare you. And it's one of these really important, what would you say, traits of highly successful people. Courage. They have above average courage. And what I'm going to share with you in today's session is how to have more courage. How to have more courage. And my goodness, the way the world is today, everybody needs a lot more courage. The entire world is steeped in fear, and this is actually this is the biggest problem in a way of the situation, the pandemic that we're in, and the state of the economy. Fear causes all sorts of problems in our own lives and also in the wider world, and you have a lot of people who are really fearful. So what are we going to cover? Well, first of all, why you must eliminate the fears holding you back, why you must eliminate them. I'm going to show you how to, and the amazing benefits of being more courageous, and also the importance of a positive mental attitude. So important. If you ever read the bestseller Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, you'll be very familiar with this term, positive mental attitude. It's the foundation of everything I do in these monthly live sessions. Building a positive mental attitude, literally, it's like pulling the corner of a spider's web. The entire web changes shape. And when you develop a greater positive mental attitude, it's like pulling the corner of the spider's web of the universe. The internal change within you will have a massive effect on all aspects of your life and all your interactions. So this is really important, positive mental attitude. Also, how to become solution focused rather than problem focused, and how to experience deep, lasting happiness. I'm going to share with you what lots of studies have found about happiness, how to be deeply happy, and also how to generate courage and achieve what others can't. So when you have more courage, you can achieve what others can't. So I get a lot of questions every month, people who are joining the Secrets of Success mentoring program, and you probably, if you're a regular and you've joined me many times in the past, you think, what's with the new name? What's the change of name about? Well, it was called the Ultimate Success Club for the last few years, and I was never really 100% comfortable with that title. Didn't really describe what this is all about, but the Secrets of Success mentoring program, it's much more descriptive title. So what I share every month online in these live sessions are, well, predominantly success secrets that have been scientifically proved to work. Predominantly scientifically proved to work. We're at a point in history now where we know more about the mind and human consciousness than in the entire history of the human race. Just the last 10 years, we've learned so much more about the mind and human consciousness than we have ever learned before. So we now know what things work and what things don't work. So, I'm very scientifically minded myself. I like to test stuff, uncover the trash, and find the nuggets of gold amongst that trash. And I've dug very deep, and I constantly dig deep. And what I share each month are the things that matter most, the things that absolutely work, the things that enable ordinary people to do extraordinary things. And it's not rocket science. It comes down to highly successful people do things in a certain way. We now know what they do and how they do it. And these are simple little habits and techniques that anyone can adopt and have massive transformations in their circumstances and their lives and their happiness level and their energy and aliveness. So we now know how to do these things. 20 years ago, we didn't have this information. Now we do. It's definitive. It's wonderful. So what if this is your first time joining us, ever since the pandemic started, I've opened the doors to everyone during this during the coronavirus pandemic. This used to be a closed doors monthly live training, but I feel this can help people so much that I've opened the doors to everyone. And if you want more information, as I said, there is a link there in the chat. And there's a program, it's a monthly program where you get a new success training course every single month, plus these live trainings and all sorts of amazing goodies and bonuses. And we meet together like this once a month. We also have a private Facebook group. And what sort of results can you expect long term? Well, look, if you do the exercises that I share each month, you can expect great changes by this time next year. If you just watch this like like TV, oh, nice ideas, but you don't actually take action on them, nothing much is going to change. So everything is dependent on how you implement what I share each month. So before we get started, in a moment, I'm going to go to another video camera with my clicker and the big screen, and I'm going to do the presentation there. And then at the end of the session, I come back here in front of my desktop computer and take your questions, and you can ask me anything. But before we get started, before I go over there to the main video camera, I want to ask a question just to gauge where most people who are joining us today are at in their lives. So you can answer these in my questions to you now in the chat box, and I'll be able to see your responses. So firstly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how courageous have you been over the past 6 months? So on a scale of 1 to 10, how courageous have you been over the past 6 months? 1, 2, 3 would be not very courageous. 7, 8, 9, 10, very courageous. So you might ask yourself, well, what does this mean? How courageous have I been? Well, are you going for your dreams, or are you putting them on hold? Are you going for big dreams, or are you going for small dreams? Does fear hold you back? So, as I say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how courageous have you been in the past 6 months? And Ravi is saying 6, and then get lots of there are lots of good numbers coming in here. 5, 7, 4, 2. Okay, we can help that. 6, 7, 9. Okay, well, in today's training, I'm going to help you generate a lot more courage, so you can, solely so you can create a far better life, so that you can truly go for your dreams. As I said at the beginning, lack of courage is what stops most people from even trying to create a better life. Second question, before I go in front of the other camera, if you knew you could not fail, what would you immediately do that you're not already doing? So if you knew you could not fail ever, what would you immediately do that you're not already doing? So write it in the chat box, and I'm going to read out some of your replies here. Thanks, Ravi. Nice comment. Start my own business, resign from work, start investing, start writing a novel, ask for a pay increase, work in my business full-time, lots of different things. So every one of these things, all these answers, they all require different levels of courage. No matter, even to get out of bed in the morning requires some courage. But there are simple ways where you can boost courage enormously. And when you know these very simple techniques, you can use them anytime you need. And you know, what was once impossible can suddenly become possible. So another one, start a company. That's a few people wanting to start businesses. Great. So now, as I say, I'm going to go in front of the main camera here. I'm going to blank out this screen for just a moment. Bear with me, because as I say, I'm still learning this system. So let me just firstly, click on here. I'm going to blank out the video for 1 second. And I'm going to go silent for a moment, only silent for a moment, and then the other camera will spring to life. So 1 sec. Hi everybody, and welcome to this month's live training. And the title today is Courage, How to Turn Your Dreams into Reality. And it's a fact that people who have big dreams need lots of courage. Because if you don't have courage, fear is the biggest thing that stops people, that prevents people from achieving the better things in life, or even getting started in the first place. So really important topic today. But as I always do every month, just a quick recap of what we did last month, because every month new members are joining us, and for the first time, and they're wondering, what's it all about? Well, last month we covered technologies that make you more successful. Yes, you heard that right, technologies. So what's that? Well, I showed you, I gave you a quick recap of the subconscious mind, because unless you are using your subconscious mind to help you achieve your goals, everything's much more difficult. And we also looked at 9 powerful ways to influence your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is that greater part of you, that 95% or more that makes up your mind. We normally think of our mind as being our conscious mind, but that's only a tiny portion of our mind. Our subconscious mind makes our heart beat, our lungs breathe, all our automated bodily processes. But it's also one of the most powerful things that you can learn about in your life, and how to use your subconscious mind to achieve your dreams. So last month was a really important session. I also showed how to use technology to speed up your goals with demonstrations of mind machines. I love these machines. I've been experimenting with them since the early 1990s, mid 1990s, when they started coming on the market, and these things absolutely work. So I hope I've piqued your interest, whetted your appetite. So if you didn't watch last month, if you weren't with us, go back and watch the replay, okay? And we also looked at high performance habits for greatly increasing your energy and your brain power, because if you're dragging yourself around with half energy or no energy, very little you can achieve in life. Life can become very monotonous and boring. But when you are able to increase your energy and your brain power, things that would have been impossible before suddenly become possible. So that's what we looked at, that's what we covered last month. So what are you going to learn today? All about courage, all about courage. So firstly, why you must eliminate the fears holding you back, why you must eliminate them, otherwise you're controlled by them. And the amazing benefits of being more courageous, also the importance of a positive mental attitude. And if you have read the amazing bestseller, Think and Grow Rich, You'll be very familiar with this expression, positive mental attitude, and we look at that in detail, and also how to become solution focused rather than, well, most people are problem focused, and also how to experience deep, lasting happiness. Really important. The most important thing we can create in life is deep, lasting happiness. And also how to generate courage and achieve what others can't. Okay, every month in these sessions, I'm not talking about idle ideas that suddenly come into my mind. No, I'm teaching and sharing every month the principles for success, abundance, happiness, and goal achievement. That most of what I'm teaching each month has been scientifically proved to work. So these are, as I say, aren't ideas I suddenly came up with myself. These have been tried and tested by millions of people all around the world over generations. So these are the things that matter most. That's really, I feel my purpose in life is to make complex things really simple. And if you've gone through a lot of hardship and you've managed to come out the other end, or if you've experienced great loss and you become, over time, you become wealthy, you've got to share what you've learned along the way. Otherwise, it's been wasted. It's been wasted. I think the greatest crime is people who learn something that can help a lot of people and just hold it all in. Don't bother sharing it with anyone. That's really why I do what I do. You know, my story, lots of stories, but if you are watching this for the first time, I lost everything about 16 years ago. I had been very successful, made bad investments, lost it all, everything, gone. Not a single cent. I remember spending our last 10 euros in the entire world. And when you've got a wife and a baby that's just been born, extremely frightening. So I know all about fear and what it can do to people's lives, and also the opposite, courage. Because I transformed my situation and I went on to create really successful businesses and help people all around the world achieve their goals more quickly, using the things that matter most, the things that I've learned and the things that millions of other people have tested. So this is, as I say, this is about what matters most, the things that move the needle the most. So how to generate courage and achieve what others can't. And why are these things even important? Why are they important? Well, firstly, you'll be able to achieve a much higher degree of success, a much greater level of success than most people ever can. And you'll also have greater power to get what you want. And you'll be able to improve your personal life and your career. And you can take more risk and experience far greater rewards, because people who don't take risk, okay, measured risk, not crazy risk, but stretching our existing boundaries and taking risks is the door to a much better life. Even if we're really happy, even if we've achieved all sorts of things, taking that bit more risk, taking risk opens the door to even greater things. So risk is really important. This is why courage is so important. So let's get straight into it. First of all, so what does fear do to us? This was literally the way I was all those years ago. I made bad investments and trusted the wrong people, and it was all gone very quickly over a period of a couple of years. Every morning waking up wanting to vomit with the fear. It was just awful. But fear can destroy you. Fear is triggered by not necessarily a threat, but a perceived threat, something that we interpret as being a threat. But you know, fear is a very important part of keeping us safe. If you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you didn't have fear about falling over, you know, you take a big risk and you might slip, and you know, fear keeps us safe. Fear is the thing that enables us to survive. You know, there's an acronym, false energy appearing real. I don't like that, an acronym, because false energy appearing real, sometimes it is real. It's not just appearing real. I had a friend many years ago, he passed away sadly some time ago, but he used to, his acronym for fear was far better. Friendly energy announcing risk. FEAR, friendly energy announcing risk. That risk could be something very real. So anyway, so fear keeps us safe. However, fear in the wrong circumstances and interpreting things in the wrong way can be incredibly damaging. Incredibly damaging. So firstly, fear increases blood pressure, and if that's not treated, if that's ongoing over a period of time, it increases rate of aging. Fear can wreck our physical and mental, what would you say, wreck our physical health if it's over a long period of time. Same with stress. And also fear over a period of time, if it's not dealt with. If we allow ourselves to be dominated by fear, it can weaken our immune system. And we're living in an age right now, a pandemic situation, where fear can actually be more serious than even the coronavirus, maybe. That fear lowers your immune system. So fear, once again, fear is there to protect us, but if we allow it to run riot, it can actually damage us very severely. And also fear can cause stomach and digestive problems. It impacts our ability to think clearly and rationally. And wow, if you look at what's going on in the world right now, particularly all the stuff, the misinformation on social media, fear is causing people to think irrationally. When you are not dominated by fear, your thought processes are much clearer, much clearer. You can see things much more accurately, okay? And unfortunately, if we're locked into fear, our brain can start interpreting all sorts of events as negative, even if they're not. Okay, so that's what happens long term with fear. Okay, and when I say long term, I'm talking about if you're living very fearfully over a period of even weeks, certainly months and years. But if fear is a big part of your life, it's having probably bigger effects than you might realize. But don't get scared about that. That'll just exacerbate the whole situation. Today we're looking at solutions, okay? Simple, practical steps you can do to be more courageous. And if someone gets locked into ingrained fear and starts interpreting everything in a fearful way, when we are locked into fear, we perceive things very negatively, but also we start looking back at our past in a much more negative way. And we're not even seeing our memories, we may be recalling everything through a lens of fear, not what really happened. This is the danger. And these memories tend to be very durable. Very durable. And similar environments can trigger the fear in us again. So if something bad happened in a certain situation and you go into a similar sort of situation, of course, your mind tries to protect you and brings up fear. But anytime you go into a similar situation, that old fear can come up again and again and again, even though it may no longer be valid. Okay? So the biggest thing, I suppose, in this is that fear can totally mislead people. We can misread situations and make really bad decisions if we're steeped in fear. Now, it also, I know this sounds crazy, but it impairs the formation of long-term memories.
if you think about it, our memories are the most valuable things we have. Our memories of all sorts of wonderful events, and if we are steeped in fear, what happens to us? Even the good stuff, we tend to forget it. We tend to forget it. So fear has so many negative effects long term. And obviously, and we all know this, it can lead to anxiety, depression, and even brain damage. This is what the science is saying. Not ideas I'm just pulling out of the air. This is what science says. Okay, so, as Nelson Mandela said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. If you ask any soldier running out onto the battlefield, machine guns blazing, if they feel fear before they run out on the battlefield, they will tell you they absolutely do. But they surmount that fear. They don't allow that fear to stop them doing what they need to do. Someone who runs out in a battlefield with no fear is going to be the first one to be gunned down. That's reality. So that was Nelson Mandela. And Winston Churchill, well, firstly, courage allows you to achieve what others can't. And as Winston Churchill said, courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Sometimes we may be fearful of really discussing something, or really listening. We tend to put the blocks up to protect ourselves. But I really like that. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak the truth. And courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Because we may have to change our internal reality when somebody says something, or maybe a hard truth, okay? And T.S. Eliot said, only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. That's great, that's great. That's about stretching our limits. Because we all have conditioning and self-imposed beliefs. We can't do this, we can't do that, and that's a great expression. So courage, really, everything I'm saying here, courage is not the absence of fear. It's not the absence of fear. It allows you to take action, even in uncomfortable or fearful situations. That's what courage is, being able to do the things that scare the hell out of you, but still doing them. Okay? Fear never goes completely. As I say, it's a self-protecting mechanism, very important. But we do need a strong degree of control over fear. And if it is preventing us doing the things that we really want to do in life, we've got to address that. We've got to do things that will change, that will tip the balance. You know, if we waken up in the morning and we are 52% fearful and 48% courageous, all we need to do is tip the balance a couple of percent. We just need to win over ourselves each day. Okay, so courage once again allows you to achieve what others can't. And courage requires the taking of genuine risk, not pretend risk, genuine risk. Now, let's look at the benefits of courage. We've seen all the damaging effects of fear over long term. So what are the benefits of having more courage? Well, first of all, it makes us feel good because we master our emotions, and you can achieve a level of success and achievement that is impossible for others. Because honestly, I think to a greater or lesser degree, most people are dominated by fear. Fear not just protects them, but stops them achieving the better things in life. And when you have more courage, you can do what your heart says is right. What your inner wisdom, we all have this inner wisdom within us. And when you are more courageous, you actually tap into that wisdom more powerfully. And we may be able to do things that are difficult, that we'd rather not do, but we know we need to do. But if we're paralyzed by fear, we avoid, we push away, we avoid. And courage allows us to stretch our current boundaries, our current limitations, as I mentioned earlier, expand our horizons, and do new things and experience more from life. Courage is really important, and it allows you to truly think big. To truly think big. I mean, I've achieved all sorts of things during my life. I worked really hard, but I remember back in 2001, I sold my first really successful business to a multinational. I thought I'd take an early retirement. Haha! Little did I know what was around the corner a few years later when I lost everything. But, you know, I remember that year, just after I sold my business, one day it just came to me. I had achieved every single one of my major life goals. Every single one of them. And I was utterly shocked, in a good way. Really shocked. I thought, my goodness, this is incredible. And it's because, I suppose, in my early 20s, I started developing a lot of resilience, a lot of courage, stretching my boundaries and stretching my life and doing things that scared the hell out of me, but things that I knew I needed to do to achieve my goals. So, you know, it's going for really big goals, thinking really big. You know, we don't have huge results overnight. Everything is baby steps. You know, just a few steps forward repeatedly adds up to huge results. This is one of the reasons why people don't go for their goals, don't go for their dreams, don't turn their desires into reality, is they think, oh, I'd love to do this, and it might be a big goal or a medium-sized goal, and then they talk themselves out of even starting because it can be overwhelming, all the things that they have to do and change to achieve the goal. But no, Rome wasn't built in a day, and a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and then another single step, then maybe 3 or 4 steps, and then maybe we might step back a couple. You know, it's not all progress. There are setbacks, but it all adds up. It all adds up. We just need to get started. So courage really allows you to think really big, to truly think big, and certainly that's been my own experience. Okay, and taking courageous action gives greater confidence. Oh my goodness. When you start getting results from your actions, taking the risk, and not everything goes crazily wrong, but you have successes, little wins, you get great confidence from this. You get great confidence, and your courage grows, your determination and belief in your own ability grows. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It gathers snow. This is how your confidence grows as well. Okay? So momentum, snowball rolling down the hill, momentum forwards grows confidence. Just a little bit of momentum. Okay. So, are you fearful or are you courageous? I guess if you're like most people, both. But it depends on what dominates. Honestly, you've probably heard me say this so many times. Our dominant thoughts and emotions create the circumstances of our life. Well, whatever dominates wins. If we are allowing courage to dominate, if we're allowing fear to dominate, fear is winning and holding us back and just keeping us locked into a mediocre life of second best or third best or even fourth best. Doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. And there are simple ways, and I'm going to share these with you, the ways that have been proved to work that enable you to be more courageous, to break through that skin, that resistance, that skin of fear, to break through it. Okay? So, Napoleon Hill, one of my heroes, he was the author of Think and Grow Rich, one of the greatest books ever written. It today, about 100 years after he wrote it, it's still a bestseller. This book, Think and Grow Rich, has created more millionaires and billionaires than any other book on the planet. And it's not all about money, it's about true wealth. True wealth. And true wealth is empowerment, joy, happiness, fulfillment. Those are true riches, but growing those qualities also can create monetary wealth as well. Amazing book, Think and Grow Rich. So what did he say? Napoleon Hill said, this is about positive mental attitude. Perpetual fear is a very negative mental attitude. So here we want to create a positive mental attitude. So what did Napoleon Hill say about that? He said there is very little difference in people, but that little difference makes a big difference. The little difference is attitude. The big difference is whether it is positive or negative, or in this context, courageous or fearful. Okay? Fear is part of a negative mindset. Courage is part of a positive mindset. Okay? So it's so important to create a positive mental attitude to turn our dreams into reality. And positive mental attitude makes the impossible possible. It makes the impossible possible. So are you positive or are you negative? Up to you to ask yourself that truthfully. So our outlook on life determines absolutely everything. If we're pessimistic, it influences our thoughts, our beliefs, our feelings, our actions, and our results. And the amazing thing about the subconscious mind, if you consciously believe you can achieve something, but subconsciously you've so many limiting beliefs formed through painful experiences in the past and conditioning, and your subconscious beliefs always win out. Even if you believe you can consciously believe you can achieve something, your subconscious might be saying, no, not possible. So if we are pessimistic and we have pessimistic thoughts frequently, especially if there is negative emotion behind it, it's almost carving out a groove on a record that just keeps replaying again and again and again. Our dominant thoughts and our dominant emotions create the circumstances of our life. So if we are negative, if we have negative thoughts frequently, fueled by negative emotions, long term that wrecks lives. Conversely, if we are positive, if we have positive thoughts, a predominance of positive thoughts and positive emotions, wow, everything can change, everything can become wonderful. So our actions, our repeated thoughts and emotions create our beliefs. This is a fact. And our beliefs create our actions, and our actions create our results. So whether we are positive or negative, it affects our results. Okay, so pessimism influences thoughts, beliefs, feelings, actions, and results. However, a positive mental attitude really makes the impossible possible. And it's vital, it's absolutely vital for achieving a far better life and being more successful. It's vital. Positive mental attitude is the core of everything. And the sad reality is, you probably heard me saying this many times about limiting beliefs, and limiting beliefs are the biggest reason why people don't achieve their goals. But limiting beliefs and self-image, what we believe about ourselves, this is the reason why 95% of people will never experience real success and fulfillment in life. Limiting beliefs and poor self-image. And I remember hearing some years ago a terrible statistic from the US Social Security Administration. Do you know what that statistic was? Well, you see it there. By retirement age, only 5% of people will be successful or financially secure. 5%, that's terrible. 95% of people are unsuccessful and are just barely above the poverty line. And it's all down to mental attitude. It's that important. Okay, so here's a guy called Dr. Maxwell Maltz. He wrote an amazing book called Psycho-Cybernetics, which is almost the Bible of high performance and athletes. So many athletes carry this around with them all of the time, because it's all about the mind and how the mind affects the results, particularly if you're an athlete. No, not just particularly if an athlete, but for everyone. I've read this several times. Amazing book. But here is Dr. Maxwell Maltz. He was one of the early pioneers of cosmetic surgery. And even though people would come to him, they may have been disfigured in an accident, and with his scalpel and his cosmetic surgery, his plastic surgery techniques, he would restore people's beauty. You know what he discovered? Over time, he found that even though he restored some people's beauty, they were still really negative. That the internal scars were more durable than the external scars. Whereas other people, he restored their looks and they became more confident and outgoing and successful than they ever were before. So he came to the conclusion that the inner scars are the ones that are almost indelible unless we do something about them. So Dr. Maxwell Maltz said, close scrutiny will show that most crisis situations are opportunities to either advance or stay where you are. Love that saying. So this is a simple exercise. You may have seen it before. It's how to become solution focused, because whenever there's a crisis situation, whenever we experience a setback or a big problem, whether it's in work or it could be personal, whenever there's a big problem, whenever we experience a problem, initially our normal response is, oh no, fear. But we can look at that situation and just think of it in terms of problems and difficulties and what is all the problems it's going to cause you. Or you can flip that on its head and look for solutions. So how we approach a difficult situation determines its outcome and how quickly we can transform it. So here's an example. It's a very simple process to become solution focused whenever you experience a difficulty. First of all, give the problem a name. It could be, the problem with my boss. Say, for instance, you're having a really rough time with your boss at work. So give the problem a name. Okay, example, the problem with my boss. Now write out 10 ways the problem causes you to suffer. You need to acknowledge that this problem is causing you to suffer in these ways. You need to get that out on paper. You don't suppress it, you get it out. You acknowledge it. Okay, so 10 ways, write down 10 ways the problem causes you to suffer. Now write out 10 things it's helping you to learn about yourself. This is the amazing thing about problems, particularly big problems. They teach us something, or many things, about ourselves. I honestly believe that this is one of the purposes of life. We come to this world to grow through challenges. We grow all those inner qualities of courage, wisdom, compassion, resilience through difficulties. Only through difficulties. I mean, there's a lovely symbol used in the Far East in Asia, and it's used all over Asia. It's the symbol of the lotus flower. Now the lotus flower is it has a beautiful flower. It's water lilies, but the muddier the pond, the more beautiful the flower. So this is just a symbol used that our difficulties can transform into wonderful inner qualities and inner resources. So that's the potential if we use them correctly. So, okay, give the problem a name. Write out 10 ways the problem's causing you to suffer. Write out 10 things it's helping you to learn about yourself. It is teaching you something. So open yourself up to that and squeeze out of your brain, what am I learning here about myself? You will be learning all sorts of things. Now write out 10 positive things you could experience by overcoming the problem. So this, how you're looking beyond the problem, the other side of the problem. What great happen as a result of me not running away from it, but overcoming it. Okay? So these 10 things give you the motivating factor, motivating force to go beyond and to break through. Okay, so, and if it's a particularly big problem, it's been going on a long time, you can start using affirmations. You can use affirmations to create a positive mental attitude or break through a sticky problem, a sticky situation. I'm not going to go into affirmations because I'm always talking about affirmations and You can see, if you visit my website, achievegoalsfast.com or mikepettigrew.com, you can see, watch dozens of videos about affirmations. You can even download a free PDF file of 356 different affirmation examples. Amazing things. They rewrite the internal programming. They rewrite your subconscious mind. They can turn positive into negative, negative mindset. Sorry, positive into negative, negative into positive, negative mindset into a positive mindset, because they are a really effective way of eliminating subconscious negative restrictive beliefs. Okay, very, very powerful. So this is a very simple exercise that you can use anytime you encounter a situation that's difficult and you want to break free. So self-image, as I mentioned earlier, changing your self-image means changing your life. How do you feel about yourself? A lot of people are very self-critical. Often very critical people are most critical of themselves. And it just becomes a vicious circle. And you become critical of others, and then becomes an even more vicious circle. So how you view yourself determines everything. I like this image here. A guy who's creating himself. So the self-image you create affects everything in your life. I need some water. Just one moment. To your very good health. Okay. So, changing your self-image equals changing your life. So Maxwell Maltz, once again, the author of Psycho-Cybernetics, he said the self-image is the key to human personality and human behavior. Change the self-image and you change the personality and the behavior. And he also said, but more than this, the self-image sets the boundaries of individual accomplishment. It defines what you can and cannot do. Expand the self-image and you expand the area of possibility. Wow. And he also said, the development of an adequate, realistic self-image will seem to imbue the individual with new capabilities, new talents, and literally turn failure into success. I have experienced this. My goodness, I have experienced this. He's absolutely correct. Self-image is everything. Back in the time when I lost everything, I went from being a very positive and optimistic, very empowered, very confident person to the opposite. It doesn't happen automatically, but when you experience loss and more loss and more loss and more loss until it's all gone, gradually your self-image changes from positive to negative. Gradually you go from being confident to having no confidence. Gradually you go from having great confidence in your own abilities to doubting yourself and berating yourself, and that makes the situation worse. And the only way to change that is to change your self-image, as he says here. So how do we change our self-image? Well, you've probably seen this little exercise before. This is the overcoming limiting beliefs exercise. I'm not going to go through it in detail because I've covered it so many times, and you can find out more information on my website, but it's a very simple way to change one's limiting beliefs, one's beliefs about oneself, into their opposite. Just really quickly. And by the way, at the end of this session, I'm going to share with you a PDF file of all the slides, including this exercise, so you can try it for yourself. It absolutely works. But basically, you uncover from your subconscious mind your limiting beliefs in any area of your life. It could be finances, it could be relationships, it could be career. If you are being held back in any of those areas long term, over a period of time, and you're sick and tired of it, you can discover very quickly your limiting beliefs in that area of your life. And then you can do another part of the exercise that will enable you to completely overcome those limiting beliefs, to reprogram your mind so you are not held back. You know what? Unless you become aware of your limiting beliefs in any area of life where you are being held back, you'll forever be held back in that area. Even no matter how hard you try and all the efforts you make, unless you address your limiting beliefs and overcome them, this is what stops people achieving the better things in life. Becoming aware of your limiting beliefs and then overcoming them. Very simple way to do it. It opens the door to all possibility. What was once impossible suddenly becomes possible. Your overcoming limiting beliefs is probably the most powerful thing that you can do. One of the most powerful things you can do in life if you want a better quality of life. Okay, so print this out later and examine it. It's very straightforward. Now, here's Abraham Lincoln, and he said something very interesting. And first of all, happiness. Really, you are as happy as you decide to be. You know, a lot of people think that happiness is dependent on the things they surround themselves with. When you get this, when I get that, I'll be happy. When this happens, I'll be happy. Why keep pushing off your happiness into the future when you can be happy right now? And as Abraham Lincoln said, most people are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. So simple. It's sometimes the most simplest things are just ignored. This is true. Everything is a decision. Okay, bad things happen. We go through hell for a while. But there comes a point when we have to pick ourselves up and move our life forward. Or we can choose to stay stuck and paralyzed by that event. We all experience all sorts of awful things at various junctures of our lives. And we can use those as excuses to not move forwards. Or we can learn from them. And even though they may still affect us to some large extent, we can still move forwards. Everything is a decision. Everything is a decision. And you know, everything is choice. Yeah, what we repeatedly choose actually becomes our reality. And this is not about suppressing, pretending to be, oh, so happy when we're not. No, no, no. That's really unhealthy. It's consciously choosing what we want to feel. It's consciously choosing what we want to feel. And you can consciously choose what you want to feel. We can all do this. We all have this amazing power to change our emotional inner state when we choose to do so. By just deciding what we want to experience. We don't have to stay locked in the past, stuck. Now, this is the fact. You construct your own happiness. Happiness is not a thing that happens to you when certain things manifest in your life, or when you achieve this, or when that bad situation goes away. No, you construct your own happiness, and it's dependent on just a decision. And once again, this is definitely my own personal experience, but once again, this is not my own research. This has been proved time and again. So many studies have taken place over the last 100 years that have proved this. Okay? So happiness is not dependent on your circumstances. That's exactly what I'm saying here. Now, here's a guy called Bruce Moen. Bruce was a friend of mine. Sadly, he passed away, I think, just over a year ago. A remarkable guy, but I remember him telling me something. He came to he was from the States, from the US. He gave a workshop in our home back in 2001, I think it was. And he stayed with us for a week. And one morning he said something that actually changed my life. It was the thing that enabled me to transform our awful situation all those years ago. He said, if you want to experience any state of consciousness you have ever experienced in the past, all you need to do is remember what it felt like. What? If you want to experience any state of consciousness you have ever experienced in the past, all you need to do is remember what it felt like. And back in those awful dark days that I went through, every morning just, oh no, not another day. Oh, I can't go through this anymore. Remember spending our last 10 euros in the world. And I remembered what Bruce said, because I picked up a book about gratitude. And you know what? I decided to choose gratitude, to choose to feel it by remembering a time in the past where I had felt genuine gratitude. That was the key that changed everything. And I did that every 30 minutes of the day. If you want to find out more, do a Google search or go to YouTube or my website and look for Crazy Gratitude Experiment, and you'll learn the process. So simple, so simple. Thank you, Bruce. That one sentence, that was the change. That was the key. Okay, so you can bring up gratitude, happiness, love, excitement, anytime you choose to do so. Anytime you choose to do so. By remembering a time in the past where you felt one of those states. You have this ability, we all have this ability to change our emotional state whenever we wish. Yes, we have to grieve when we lose someone we love. Yes, we have to suffer in life. But how much we suffer, we have great control over that. You know, some people hold on to their suffering because they feel guilty that they shouldn't. But you know, we have great control. We have a great ability to change our inner state whenever we wish. How we are inside is reflected by our environment and the things that happen to us. The synchronicities and coincidences, or lack of synchronicities and coincidences, same thing actually, synchronicity, coincidence, it's all determined on our dominant thoughts and emotions. But we have a great ability to change that. So, once again, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, this guy here, he said, to change a habit, make a conscious decision, then act out the new behaviour. A bit like what Bruce Mohan was saying. And he also, I want to read this. Professor Elmer Gates, what he said on page 130 of the new Psycho-Cybernetics. It was updated. Dr. Maltz died some years ago, and Dan Kennedy, if you've been in marketing, in business marketing for any length of time, you know the name Dan Kennedy. He's one of the greatest marketers in the last century. But he got permission from Dr. Maxwell Maltz's estate to update and bring, because things have changed in the last 50, 60, 70 years, and he updated it just to make it more relevant to modern times without changing the content at all. But I'm going to read, this is how an inventor used happy thoughts. Professor Elmer Gates of the Smithsonian Institution was one of the most successful inventors this country has ever known, and a recognized genius. He made a daily practice of calling up pleasant ideas and memories, and believed that this helped him in his work. If a person wants to improve himself, he said, let him summon those finer feelings of benevolence and usefulness, which are called up only now and then. Let him make this a regular exercise by swinging dumbbells. Let him gradually increase the time devoted to these psychological gymnastics, and at the end of a month he will find the change in himself surprising. The alteration will be apparent in his actions and thoughts. Morally speaking, the man will be a great improvement of his former self. Gates used the word, the psychological gymnastics led to Gates's use of the term psychological gymnastics led to identifying the various exercises and techniques presented in the original book, this book, and my other books, and my 12-week home study course as mental training exercises. While the analogy of self-image to muscles is not precisely correct, the deliberate daily practice of certain techniques, such as the construction and playing of positive mental movies in the theatre of your mind, relaxation and so forth, does strengthen your self-image and does ultimately lead to truly automatic psycho-cybernetic responses to situations. The present-day rule for adequate daily physical exercise is 30-minute sessions, at least 3 days a week. I can assure you, give that same minimum investment to cybernetics gymnastics, and you will quite literally change your life. Your self-image is absolutely everything, okay? So I hope that illustrates the point. So, your own happiness. I'm going to ask you questions about your own happiness. And these are some revealing questions. Well, the answers, hopefully, for you will be revealing. So, firstly, are you holding on to disappointments from your past? A lot of people do. Do you ever feel like a victim? A lot of people do. Are you secretly blaming others for your difficulties? That's a big one. Do you sometimes feel others are lucky, but you are not? Do you feel you can only be happy if something happens? If so, you are sabotaging your own happiness. This is fact. You are choosing to not be happy in the present. And unfortunately, this can become a very serious habit that must be broken. Habits are your automatic responses, and they can easily be changed. Easily be changed. And this is what I share with you every month, the ways to change these negative habits in using positive habits. It's not about, self-discipline and, become. No, this is easy stuff. These are little new habits and techniques you can apply. Very little willpower needed. Oh, excuse me. So, and one of the ways to change these negative habits into positive, using affirmations and using high performance habits, like every so often I share tapping techniques and qigong. That's another wonderful way of changing these things. Very simple. And taking daily actions to strengthen new habits and help and encourage other people. When you look outwardly, try to assist other people on their journey through life, it enhances your own happiness dramatically. Dramatically. This, once again, has been proved scientifically. Those people who are outward looking and who try to help other people are actually much happier, by and large. Okay, you can overdo it and be self-sacrificing. That's not wise. I used to be that way years ago. But one of the great contributors to happiness is your contributions to others, to society. So, high performance habits. First of all, this is Brendon Burchard. He is the founder of the High Performance Institute, and he ran the largest study in human history of high performers, people at the tops of their game. I think it was over 300,000 high performers worldwide. People who are highly successful, the most successful people on the planet, and he studied them, 300,000 of them, to find out what strategies, tools and habits they adopt, if any, to be more successful. And he found there are specific habits that the majority of them used, specific techniques that they use, all very simple. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel here. You just do these techniques and habits and they'll work for you as well. They work for everyone. Okay, so what is high performance? First of all, high performance means excelling and succeeding above and beyond standard norms consistently over the long term. It's not peak performance, that athletes must get into a peak performance state to run a marathon. No, you can't sustain that. Not possible. You die. However, the crucial part of this sentence is high performance means excelling and succeeding above and beyond standard norms consistently over the long term. Consistently. What can get you ahead faster long term? What can help you become more happy, more alive, more fulfilled, more successful over the long term? Consistently. This is what high performance training is all about. Okay, so high performance habits, what are they? Well, I've just mentioned about high performance versus peak performance. You cannot sustain a peak performance state, but high performance habits, high performance you can. So about over the long term. And high performers, because they do these habits, they have greater energy, fulfillment, aliveness and joy. Not my own beliefs or thoughts, fact. And high performers do pay attention to mastering their productivity and their time management, because let's face it, we all only get 24 hours in a day, and yet some people achieve very unhappy, unfulfilled lives where very little happens. And the same people, other people who also get 24 hours in it, turn their dreams into massive dreams into reality. So what we do and how we do it is really important, okay? So high performers also master their physiology and boost their energy. We only get so much energy each day from our food and our exercise. At the beginning of each day, we should have maximum energy, and most people lose their energy as they go through the day. And at the end of the day, they're very tired at the end of their work day. But what if you could replenish your energy as you go through the day? Well, I share quite frequently a very simple exercise that you can do. It only takes 2 to 3 minutes, and you do it every 90 minutes of the day, and it energizes you. More aliveness, more focus. Every 90 minutes, can you imagine that? You're losing energy, but then you boost it. You lose energy over time and you boost it again. That is a great way to turn dreams into reality. If you don't have enough energy, you can't achieve much. If you have lots of energy and joy and aliveness, wow, think of the things that you would go for. You can do all this with what I share each month. It's really simple. And not only gaining more energy and replenishing your energy, but very simple techniques that also, as well as giving you more energy and focus, they also reduce stress. Same techniques reduce stress. And over time, stress is known today as the biggest killer, because untreated stress long term can turn into all sorts of physical and mental conditions that are not so good. Stress can devastate lives. It does devastate lives. Biggest killer today. So if you can have more energy and aliveness and reduce stress, wow, think about the quality of life you would have. This is what I share every month in the high performance section, the last section before questions and answers. And I've mentioned the energization breaks. I'm not going to teach them today. I do them every 3 months on average, I think. And high performers are generally a lot more effective and influential, because there are techniques to becoming highly influential, very simple things. And when you're using high performance techniques, you will achieve your goals faster and you will be more successful. Consistency is everything. But this is not, as I say, about willpower or self-discipline. It's just adopting a few little habits, new habits, that serve you really well. Part of this study into high performers, 300,000 high performers worldwide, one of the findings is that most of these really highly successful people are not highly self-disciplined. They have a select few habits that serve them very well, that carry them forward very far. They're not highly self-disciplined. Self-discipline is important to some extent, but it's a bit highly overrated. Okay, so that's what high performance, and yeah, the high performance coaching model. We experience these qualities: clarity, energy, courage, productivity, and influence. We experience all of these by mastering these areas, and every month we cover a different box. One month we look at productivity, another month we'll do high performance techniques for more persuasion, psychology, your physiology, your body, its needs, presence and purpose. Every month we do one of those, and we return to some of them more than once during the year at a deeper level and from a different angle. Okay, so that's high performance. So here are some questions for you. And every major change in life starts as a result of us asking questions of ourselves. Asking questions of ourselves, penetrating questions, and truthfully answering them to ourselves gives us such perspective on what we need to change or modify. Okay, so these are high performance questions that will help you to develop more courage. I need some water. Again, to your great help. Oh, what would you do without water? Okay. we'd all shrivel up and die. So courage is not the absence of fear, we know that. It's the ability to do something that scares you. So remember a time in the past where you felt really courageous. There will be several, I'm sure, but certainly one or two. So how did it affect what happened to you? Being courageous back then at that time. How did it affect what happened next? Did it lead to success in some way? So that's a way of seeing, courage is important when you're relating it to your own life and experiences. So courage questions, here's where you need to answer these yourself. Number one, are there any people or situations in your life right now where you feel you could be stepping up more? Penetrating question there. Number two, what do you tend to worry about or fear the most in life? Really important to become aware of that. Okay, number three, how could that fear be affecting your ability to perform at your best? Because I guarantee you it is. Number four, is there anyone in your life who you are not being more honest with when it comes to your true feelings? Usually, there will be. Number five, if you had more courage, what would you stop doing right now? If you had more courage, what would you stop doing right now? What bad habit? And number six, if you had more courage, what would you start doing right now? Because courageous people can take on all sorts of things that fearful people can't. Okay, so what would you start and stop doing? Stop and start doing. Okay, so that's the first page. Another courage checklist. So, awareness of what we fear. We often fear three things in life, apart from, of course, dangers to life itself. These are loss, pain. In other words, by advancing our lives, we may end up losing something important to us. Okay? And then there's process pain or process pain. We think that change will be too difficult. It would just take too much effort. What's the point in doing it? No, it's going to be difficult. And also outcome pain. Our efforts may not lead, we fear that our efforts may not lead to a better life and that the grass may not be greener once we've achieved that goal. So these are three things that we fear. Loss pain, process pain, and outcome pain. So, this is for you now. Think of a change you've avoided or a goal you have not moved towards. Now complete these sentences for greater insight. I haven't changed or chased my dream with more courage and commitment because, number one, I'm afraid I might lose what? Fill in the blank. Number two, I'm afraid the process might bring on these hardships in my life. Number two, okay? So, first one is loss pain. Second one is process pain. Third one is obviously outcome pain. Number three, I'm afraid that despite all my efforts, the outcome may not be so good. And I could end up, fill in the blank. So, whenever I overcome all my fears and have the courage to take action and improve, my life will be different in this way. These questions are so important. If you print this out and don't do the questions, you just wasted such an amazing opportunity. This only takes a few minutes, yet it can change your life. So why wouldn't you do it? Questions and getting aware of where you are at now and what you might need to do is this is high performance. Okay, it's the simple things that matter most. So where does courage come from? Where does it come from? Well, how do we start to gain more confidence and courage in our lives? Okay, the answer lies not only in moments of crisis, but in how we live each day of our lives. Each day of our lives. We need to express our real thoughts, feelings, needs and ambitions to others, not keep them all in. It takes courage to tell the world what you're about and how you're thinking. But people are often fearful about what other people will think. That's the biggest prison of the mind. Worrying about what other people think. People will think all sorts of things, and it's not any of our business to know what other people think about us. Simple as that. Do you worry about what other people think? If so, why? Unless it's going to have a major impact on your life, how they think about you. It shouldn't occupy any brain space at all. It's different if you're working with someone day in, day out, or someone is helping you to achieve some major project, yes, it's kind of important how they view you. But there are ways, high-performance ways, of changing that relationship. But so I'll read that again. It takes courage to tell the world what you're about and how you're thinking. Excuse me. Doing it more consistently will forge a stronger confidence in your heart and your social world. So, complete these sentences. Yes, there's more things to complete. If I'm honest, I haven't been communicating my real thoughts, feelings, needs and ambitions to the following people, and it's costing me. Fill in the blank. Who are those people? A person and situation I'm dedicated to addressing in the next 5 days is... Put yourself in the spot. Fill in the blank. And this is how. And this is why and how. Write down why and how. Okay, very specific. Unless we're very specific, we've nothing to take action on, not really. So these are the 3 areas I'm going to take to my... Sorry, these are the 3 areas I'm going to take more bold action in the next 60 days. 1, 2, 3. Fill in those, okay? So, what did we cover today? We're going to go to questions and answers now in a second. And I'm going to go in front of my desktop computer and the webcam, and this video camera will go blank just for a moment while I do that. But let's just recap what we covered today. Very important session. So firstly, why you must eliminate the fears that hold you back. Why you must. The amazing benefit of being more courageous, the importance of a positive mental attitude, how to become solution focused instead of problem focused, how to experience deep lasting happiness, it's totally in your control, and how to generate courage and achieve what others can't. Because when you have more courage, you can achieve what other people can't. Okay, so recommended resources. First of all, Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. I've actually never read it, but I believe it's very good. The New Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Here it is. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. And what I share each month in the high performance section of the live train is they are not in the book, okay? They're not in the book. And of course my own bestseller, The Most Powerful Goal Achievement System in the World. So, time for questions and answers. Take this opportunity to ask me anything, either about today's session or anything that you feel you'd like to ask me. Any area you would like help with, okay? And if you are watching the replay, you can still leave a comment below as a question, or you can send me an email. Just go to my website, shoot me an email, and I'll get back to you with an answer, or in our private Facebook group. And if you are watching this live, there will be a chat box. If you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, there's probably a chat box, and you can ask me a question there. So I'm going to go in front of my main computer, going to blank out this screen and microphone just for a moment, and the other machine will spring to life. I'll take your questions there in just a second. Stand by, bear with me, I'll be with you in a sec.
Okay, thank you. I hope you found that helpful. I'm just going to put a couple of things, paste them here into the chat. First of all, it's the download location of the slides that should be on the right hand side of your screen. Well, it depends on whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on you're watching on YouTube, but it's there somewhere. It's in the chat roll. One other thing I want to add, 2 things: the little logo up in the top right, and a caption here. If you want, oh yeah, here we go. If you want to ask a question, there we go. Simply use the chat box. So yeah, and the chat box I think is on the right hand side of the page. And while I'm answering the questions, I'm just going to put up the URL for more information about the Secrets of Success mentoring program, if you found this useful and you want to find out more. Excuse me. So first of all, let me just see chat. Okay, questions, other questions? Yes, there are. First question from Frank. Hello, Frank. Frank says, I've been dominated by fear for many years, and it's this that stopped me going for my biggest goals. I just give in to myself and tell myself it's not worth all the hassle. You mentioned affirmations. Are they really powerful enough to overcome my fears so I'm not held back anymore? Well, yeah, affirmations, Frank, are really powerful. They're a way of directly embedding instructions in your subconscious mind. They really, really work. As I mentioned before, the subconscious mind, just everyone's subconscious mind, is affected profoundly through repetition and emotion. So when you're doing affirmations and you're bringing up positive emotion while doing them, it has massive impressions on your subconscious mind. It's a way of literally reprogramming the supercomputer between your ears, and it then changes the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you act. It's extraordinary. And the workings of the subconscious mind can often appear like magic. It seems like it's orchestrating all sorts of coincidences. Excuse me. Do you know what that bleeper on my phone is? Every so many minutes, every 90 minutes of the day, there's an alarm that goes off on my phone to tell me to do these energization exercises. That's a really good way to remember how to do them. Have an automated alarm going off. So yeah, affirmations are really powerful. Also, you could use self-hypnosis for and the overcoming limiting beliefs exercise. Really powerful exercises. And last month, if you are a member of the Secrets of Success mentoring program, if you go into the members area last month, you can watch the live training session. I think it's still on YouTube. And Facebook. And it was all about mind machines. Mind machines. Yes, you heard that right. And mind programming technologies. Been experimenting with these technologies for decades. Absolutely amazing devices, and they absolutely work. So, Frank, I hope that helps. But in a nutshell, yes, affirmations will help enormously, providing you use them consistently. A question here from Mary. Hello, Mary. And Mary says, I have high blood pressure. Does that mean that I have a lot of hidden fears? Not necessarily. Not necessarily, Mary, because the exact causes of high blood pressure are not precisely known. There are things that definitely play a role, like smoking, being overweight, lack of physical activity, too much salt, also too much alcohol, being stressed all of the time, old age, and even genetics. I mean, there are many reasons why people suffer from high blood pressure. So I can't say what the cause of your high blood pressure is. Unfortunately, I suffer from high blood pressure. I have to take a very small amount of a diuretic every day. And I've been taking them for about 8 years. The plan was always to do more exercise, and I won't need them. But even with lots of exercise, I just need the things. It's probably my age and my genetics, and what I take doesn't seem to have any side effects, and it's only a really small amount. So I mean, we have to take what we gotta take. So I can't say for sure at all, not knowing you, what the cause is, and I'm not a doctor. Okay, so it's not necessarily that you have a lot of hidden fears, not at all. No. So I hope that helps. A question from John. John says, hang on a second. You mentioned that we can be more courageous by mastering our emotions, but how do we do that? I remember in my my teenage years, my late teens, I was really shy. I mean, I was really shy. And I realized that if I didn't overcome that shyness, there would be a lot of great things in life that I wouldn't experience. So I used to I hated doing it, but I put myself in situations that would challenge my shyness, I made myself do things that I didn't want to do, but I knew were good for me. So I think putting ourselves into challenging situations, it gradually allows us to be more courageous. I'm not saying go into a hugely challenging situation that scares the life out of you. No, I'm just talking about stretching your life just a little bit. You're stretching your, what would you say, your capabilities a little and a little more. Those baby steps over time certainly add up. So you mentioned we can be more courageous by mastering emotions. How do we do that? Yeah, I think we can also master emotions by learning relaxation techniques. Using biofeedback is amazing. And these are the things that we covered in last month's training. Self-hypnosis, also my crazy gratitude experiment. That's an amazing way to change our inner state, whatever that inner state may be. Excuse me. Going from, well, for me, I came up with this experiment when I'd lost everything. It was going from a really negative mindset to a positive mindset, bringing up gratitude, remembering a time in the past where I felt deep, sincere gratitude, and dwelling on that memory for several minutes. After a while, I'd feel grateful. So it's like what I said earlier about Bruce Moen. What Bruce Moen said, if you ever want to experience any state of re-experience any state of consciousness you've experienced in the past, all you have to do is remember what it felt like. We can do the same for any emotion, any feeling, positive feeling. We remember a time in the past, and that gives us great, what would you say, great ability to change our internal state, our emotional state, should we choose to do so. Unfortunately, sadly, so many people get stuck in a negative feeling that goes on and on and on and on. And I hate to say it, but we choose to let it go on and on and on. But knowing that we have the ability to change our inner state and do something about it, that's extraordinary. That's the greatest power we have is over ourselves. So self-hypnosis, crazy gratitude experiment, affirmations, of course, repeatedly, consciously choosing to feel the way we want to feel rather than the way we feel right now if it's not great. Also using the tapping techniques that I share every few months with the 3 words for self, interactions, and success markers. These are things that these are words we can tap in. I'm not going to go into all the details. They are in previous live trainings. I go into it in detail, but I hope that helps, John. Any more questions? Yeah, Brian. Hi, Brian. Brian says, I joined your program 2 months ago and it's been helping me enormously. Thank you. Thank you. I know we get a new course for free every month in addition to the live training, but how many are there? And is there a list of courses that will be showing up in the members area? Actually, yes. If you go to the URL that's actually on the bottom left of the screen right now, achievegoalsfast.com/success, you'll see a list of all the courses. Not only will you see a list of all the 12 courses, but there's one every month released into your members area, but you'll also see the topic for every single live training for the next year. So everything is there. That's 3,600, well, more than $3,600 worth of courses that you get for free, and all the topics. And if you look at that now, you'll see the next topic, the topic for next month is productivity. How to save time and energy by working smart, not necessarily hard. So I hope that's helped, Brian. I don't see any more questions. Last opportunity. It's gone. No, I think that's it for this month. So that was Courage, how to turn your dreams into reality. So thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to being with you again next month. Bye-bye for now, and stay safe.